Welcome to Football Game Plan's FCS Kickoff presented by the Connecticut School of Broadcasting. I'm Emory Hunt, the czar of the playbook, and this is our 2016 Ohio Valley Conference season preview. The OVC is a tightly contested conference year in, year out, and from the looks of it, the 2016 season doesn't look any different. So let's get things kicked off by taking a look at some burning questions heading into the season. Can Jacksonville State repeat? That's the $10 million question, right? I mean, I don't see why not, but this year could prove to be a bit of a tougher road because of the amount of losses they have on the defensive side of the ball, which made them complete last year. Offensively, they could still be potent, but head coach John Grice has his hands full getting the guys on the other side of the football up to speed. New coaches, early success. Well, there were 3 new hires in the OVC this past offseason. Austin Peay hired Will Healy. You also look at Eastern Kentucky bringing in Mark Elder, and Tennessee Tech hired Marcus Satterfield. Now, the latter two have a great chance to hit the ground running and have successful seasons. Coach Healy has a bit of a challenge at Austin Peay, however. They are coming off a season where they went 0-11, but it was still promising, still some things you can build on. And if they can build on anything on top of that, it could be considered a success. Now, these were 3 great hires by the respective universities, and all 3 are being set up for success. Are the Southeast Missouri State Redhawks soaring? There's a lot to be excited about this year regarding SEMO. They have made steady improvements over the last 3 seasons, and they head into 2016 with a very talented roster and a shot to have a winning season for the first time since 2010. I would definitely say that Southeast Missouri State is on the rise and will be fun to watch this upcoming year. Will Tennessee State get back on track? Under head coach Rod Reed, the Tigers have been very consistent. You knew coming in that you were going to see a dominant running game and great play in a secondary. Well, last year we didn't see any of that from TSU. They were young, inexperienced, and had a lot of room for improvement. Well, after a solid recruiting class and a great spring, the young Tigers have matured, which bodes well for their chances to get right back into the thick of things in the OVC. Can 2 or even 3 Ohio Valley Conference teams get into the postseason? I think so. This is, and for the most part, has been a 2-bid league. This year, you can legitimately make a case for 3 or even 4 teams securing a spot in the field of 24. This is what makes college football, but more in particular, this conference, very exciting. Let's take a look at some of the big games coming up this season in the OVC. The September 3rd matchup between Murray State and the Fighting Illini of Illinois is a must-see game for a variety of reasons. Number 1, the Razors' offense by themselves is must-see TV. 2, they have the better quarterback in this ball game. And 3rd, it's Lovie Smith's debut as a college football head coach. And finally, it has the potential for an upset victory for the Racers. There are also 2 big games on September 17th as Jacksonville State plays host to Coastal Carolina. The Chanticleers are an FBS transition team, and this will be a huge game and test for the Gamecocks. The second game to check out that day is a matchup between Southeast Missouri State and Indiana State. It's your classic OVC versus Missouri Valley Conference battle, and Indiana State is a formidable opponent that has playoff aspirations this year. I know the Redhawks do as well, and if they want to see those dreams realized, this is the type of game that they have to win. On October 8th, Tennessee State travels to Eastern Illinois, and I think this game has the potential to be a high-scoring one and also one that could have huge playoff implications or at-large implications at the end of the season. And finally, on October 22nd, Eastern Kentucky takes on Jacksonville State. The Gamecocks shut out the Colonels last year, so you know this game has been circled on the calendars by EKU since then. We'll be back after this.
New York City is the largest market for broadcast media. It's the epicenter for the TV and radio industry. If you ever had a dream of working in the thrilling broadcast world, then make it a reality by going to the Connecticut School of Broadcasting. CSB has helped numerous people get a job with hands-on training and a learn-by-doing mentality. You will learn all of the high-tech equipment in the TV and radio studios. From hosting your own radio show, to being a news or sports anchor, operating a camera in the TV studio, or editing audio and video, the choice is yours. Graduates from CSB have gone on to work at some of the major companies in the industry. To get more information, call 1-800-TV-RADIO or check us out at gocsb.com. Your road to success starts here at the Connecticut School of Broadcasting.
Well, for me, I think, it kind of keeps the big picture in context. So if you're looking, especially in our league, where you're looking at student athletes being reflective of the student body and the mission of the institution, I think our league does that great. And just as importantly, there's some premier players, premier programs. It's an exciting level. It's traditionally very wide open, unpredictable. It's certainly not stale. It's on the cutting edge of an awful lot of things. And I just think it's a very entertaining level of football that is played by some very, very talented student athletes that have just kind of chosen a little bit different path as they try to balance their professional career in addition to their football future. And I can't speak for everybody, but an awful lot of our players have aspirations of playing on Sunday, but want a really good backup plan in case that doesn't work in the workforce. And so it's really it's reflective of everything that you want, of really good football, cutting edge offense and defense, unpredictability, people that are reflective of student bodies, and I think it's probably at its zenith of popularity and talent.
Welcome back to the FCS Kickoff as we are previewing the Ohio Valley Conference. Now, the OVC was extremely talented last year with players of the caliber of Noah Spence and Deshaun Mobley of Eastern Kentucky, Troy Maine Pope of Jacksonville State, and Paul McRoberts of Southeast Missouri State. And despite those big names leaving, a ton of talent remains, like football game plans, preseason FCS All-American quarterback Eli Jenkins, who leads off our 2016 preseason all-OVC team. Jenkins was a catalyst for the Gamecocks' run to Frisco, Texas last year. The 6'2", 200-pound senior ran for over 1,000 yards and threw for over 2,700 with 21 touchdowns to only 8 interceptions. Jenkins is recovering from shoulder surgery, but all indications are that he'll be 100% and ready to go for their opener as he tries to get JSU back to the title game. I had to add in another quarterback to this team because KD Humphreys out of Murray State was just too good to pass up. What he did last season for the Racers was remarkable. The 6'2", 225-pound Humphreys led the Ohio Valley Conference in passing last season by averaging 343.5 yards a game, throwing 22 touchdowns to only 7 interceptions. If he can replicate that success, it bodes well for the Racers' chances this season. Taking a look at the backs and receivers on this list, and you see a ton of explosiveness. Tremaine McCullough out of Southeast Missouri State ran for over 1,000 yards last year at 6 yards a carry, which was second for running backs in the conference. Roman Clay out of Murray State at 5'11", 225 pounds brought tremendous balance to the Racers' offensive attack, scoring 11 rushing touchdowns last year. And our all-purpose player Devin Church out of Eastern Illinois ran for 743 yards, caught an additional 254 yards, and also racked up 357 yards on kickoff returns. All three players proved to be huge assets to their squads, and their respective teams are definitely grateful to have them back in the fold. Patrick Smith of Tennessee State was the big play threat in the Tigers' passing game, hauling in 10 touchdown receptions, while Josh Barger of Jacksonville State was the only receiver in the conference to break the 1,000-yard barrier, and he did so by grabbing 92 receptions for 1,145 yards and 11 touchdowns. Along the offensive line, both Jimmy Lowry of Eastern Illinois and Garrett Baker of Southeast Missouri State are tremendous athletes and blockers that can get out on the move and be effective. Jessamine Dunker out of Tennessee State and Casey Dunn of Jacksonville State have been on the NFL radar for quite some time now and are looking to solidify a spot in a postseason all-star game with their play. Now, Justin Lee of Jacksonville State is the unsung hero of the Gamecocks offensive line, but he isn't unsung to us as he lands on our preseason all-OVC team. Moving over to the defensive line, another strong group here for the Ohio Valley Conference. Jacksonville State's Darius Jackson has star quality coming off the edge. The 6'3", 230-pound junior finished last year with 7 sacks, but did a lot of his damage in the run defense department, as evident by his 19 TFLs, which puts him third in the OVC. Linebacker Seth McDonald of Eastern Illinois had himself an outstanding season, racking up 109 tackles, leading his team in that statistic and finishing second in the conference. McDonald saw his teammate Camus Grugier-Hall get drafted in the 6th round of the NFL draft this past spring and is looking to be the next EIU defender to do the same. Southeast Missouri State's linebacker Roper Garrett, in only 11 games, was third in the conference in tackles with 106. Garrett also had 10 TFLs last season. Football Game Plan's preseason FCS All-American Malik Hall out of Tennessee Tech, Mike Ford out of Southeast Missouri State, Roderick Owens of Austin Peay, and Ezra Robinson of Tennessee State round out the secondary. That quartet of defensive backs combined for 39 pass breakups in 2015. Ford led the group and tied for the lead in the conference with 5 interceptions. Now the group as a whole combined for 11. We'll talk more about Malik Hall and what he brings to the table from a pro perspective later on in the video. The specialists feature Eastern Kentucky Colonels kicker Lucas Williams, who connected on 11 out of 14 field goal attempts, and punter Alex Knight of Southeast Missouri State, who was a Football Game Plan preseason All-American, who put together an impressive junior campaign. Knight averaged 44.8 yards a punt, downing 29 inside the 20, with 18 of his punts traveling over 50 yards. We'll take a short break and come back with more Ohio Valley Conference superlatives on the Football Game Plan FCS Kickoff show presented by the Connecticut School of Broadcasting.
Well, the game of football has taught me so many things, man. Now, think about the huddle we have right now, right? I tell people this all the time. There's a reason why they call it a huddle. You know, people have been huddling all their lives, trying to find ways to enhance each other's lives. The great teams do that all the time. The great teams do that. The better the huddle, the better the team. And so it's simple, man, how if you huddle for all the right reasons, we wouldn't have Ferguson. We wouldn't have some of the challenges that we have in our society. But as we all know, there's always a moment when somebody doesn't belong in the huddle. And yet we have to continue to move on. We got to continue to play. So the game of life, man, is always starting with the huddle. And for me, I'm lucky enough to know that, you know, by the graces of God, man, it's been a nice huddle. It's been a nice huddle. And if I just keep making sure that he's in front of me, I'm gonna be all right.
What's up, college football fans? Don't forget to check out and order your copy of Stiff Arming Football Myths, our latest Football Game Plan book. So go on our website at footballgameplan.com/books and get your copy. We have these available in paperback as well as in PDF form. And welcome back to the FCS Kickoff. In keeping with the Ohio Valley Conference superlatives, we'll take a look at the top units by position, starting with the best quarterbacks in the OVC, and we have a tie between Jacksonville State and Murray State. Now, while both teams do have good depth at the position, this choice and subsequent tie basically comes down to two players, KD Humphries of Murray State and Eli Jenkins of Jacksonville State. These two players are arguably the best and most exciting players in the conference and are tremendous assets to their teams, and are also the types of guys that you can say without them, both squads won't be as successful. The best group of running backs in the conference goes to the Eastern Illinois Panthers. Devin Church, who's an all-purpose dynamo, is the lead guy, but also has a teammate in Malik Harrison that's just as amazing. The 6'1", 198-pound junior out of Springfield, Illinois, averaged 10 yards a carry last year, albeit on 23 carries, but with the graduation of another talented tailback in Shepard Little, expect Harrison's touches to increase significantly. The Murray State Racers, despite losing their top three receivers, in my opinion, still has the best group in this conference. Football Game Plan preseason all-conference performer Jesse Blackburn, who's essentially a wide receiver tight end hybrid, is back in the fold after finishing 2015 with 612 yards and 5 touchdowns. Wide receiver Mitch Stoltz is dynamic after the catch and should flourish as a senior. I would also keep an eye on junior wideout Sterling Taylor, who comes over from Contra Costa Junior College with a ton of talent. Jacksonville State boasts an impressive group up front and gets the nod for the best offensive line. Casey Dunn was not only a Football Game Plan preseason All-American, but also one to watch in our early look at 2017 NFL Draft Prospects video. Dunn is the anchor in the middle and is surrounded by guys of the caliber of Justin Lee, who is a dominant run blocker. UT Martin checks in with the best defensive line in the Ohio Valley Conference. They already had a strong group with defensive tackle Damani Taylor, along with some really good depth around him, but the Skyhawks got a huge boost with the transfer of Arkansas Razorback defensive lineman Anthony Brown. A Taylor and Brown combination will make it extremely tough to run the football against UT Martin this season. Behind that defensive line, you'd want the linebacking core of Southeast Missouri State. The trio of linebackers, Roper Garrett, Chad Meredith, and Stephon Williams are all three tremendous athletes that can run. They combined for 224 tackles in 2015. Look for those numbers to be even better this year. In the secondary, the Tennessee State Tigers seem to always have a solid group of covermen and safeties. This season isn't any different. The Tigers have one of the better defensive backs in the country in Ezra Robinson. Robinson picked off 2 passes last season, which led the team, and sophomore Laquarius Cook is another impressive player for TSU. As a freshman last year, Cook racked up 58 tackles, which put him ahead of junior strong safety Javon Brandon. And finally, the best special teams unit in the Ohio Valley Conference goes to the Eastern Kentucky Colonels. Eastern Kentucky boasts a strong kicking game with kicker Lucas Williams and punter Keith Razuziak. Now, Razuziak averaged 43.7 yards a punt last year with a long of 75 yards. He was also able to down 20 inside the 20-yard line and had 20 more travel over 50 yards. Now, transitioning to the NFL prospects that you want to keep an eye on this upcoming season in the Ohio Valley Conference, which saw Noah Spence get drafted in the 2nd round last year to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Here are a few of the guys that have the same hopes come this April. Looking at this list, you see some guys that have some versatility, like Jesse Blackburn of Murray State, who can serve a role as a receiver, tight end, or even H-back at the next level. His ability to not only get open, but make things happen in space and after the catch is impressive. I alluded to it earlier in the video talking about Malik Hall of Tennessee Tech's pro potential, and it's because of his ability to play both man and zone coverage very well. He can match up on the outside, in the slot, and isn't afraid to get in there and mix it up in the run defense department. It'll be interesting to watch guys like KD Humphries develop this year and see what growth he can make in his game. I think he has a good chance to get to an all-star game if he can build on last year's great season. Eli Jenkins is a unique case, as I have him listed as an athlete. I think he has a unique set of skills that may lend itself to a position switch as a pro. He can kill that notion if he shows enough improvement in the passing game, which could ultimately elevate the Gamecocks even more so this season.
New York City, the media capital of the world. But in America, there is a world of media at our fingertips, from coast to coast. The broadcast media industry connects us in so many ways and remains on the cutting edge of providing us news and entertainment. Have you ever pictured yourself working in the media? Did you ever dream of working in TV or on the radio? Make your dreams come true today. Connecticut School of Broadcasting is the oldest and largest group of communication schools in the country. At Connecticut School of Broadcasting, you'll learn by doing with hands-on training straight from professional broadcasters. There is job placement assistance for graduates, day and evening courses available. Graduate and get into the job market in only 8 or 16 weeks. Don't waste another second daydreaming about what you want to do with your life. Call 1-800-TV-RADIO and start living your dream today.
I love football. I cannot get enough of football. I watch it on every level.
The emotional release. Whether it's an exciting play that gets you all jacked up and juiced, or whether it's the fact that you're able to pour everything you have. Whatever frustration you had that week, you can put into that first kickoff coverage, that first block that you have, whatever it might be.
And I couldn't think of anything better to do to fill that void that you have as a football player than to get into coaching.
You get a chance to release a lot of emotion that you otherwise have no place to release. There's nothing else like that.
Again, the relationships you build and the people you're around and watching the guys compete, not just on the football field, but in life after they get done playing. It's just an amazing game.
Welcome back to Football Game Plan's FCS Kickoff 2016 preview of the Ohio Valley Conference. I'm Emory Hunt, the czar of the playbook, and we've now reached the point of the preview where it's time to predict how we think this thing will shake out this season. Austin Peay checks in at number 9, and the Governors have a new head coach in Will Healy, who comes over from the Chattanooga Mocs. Now, obviously a team that went 0-11 last year has a lot of room to grow and get better, but that transition can be made easier with 20 returning starters on this squad. Now, the players are familiar with playing with each other, which goes a long way, and they are also learning a new scheme at the same time, which lends them to grow together. They'll snap that 16-game losing streak this year, and Coach Healy has a great foundation to build on. Another new head coach is making his debut in the OVC, and that's Tennessee Tech's Marcus Satterfield, who comes over from the Temple Owls. And Satterfield was the offensive coordinator for Temple, and having watched a lot of Owl games, what we'll see this year from Tennessee Tech is a well-balanced offensive attack that'll spread the field to run the ball. And the good thing about the Golden Eagles offense is that they are in great shape on the perimeter with wide receivers Brock McCoy and Chris Cates. The biggest change, in my opinion, has to happen on the defensive side of the ball. The Golden Eagles can't allow themselves to give up nearly 500 yards a game again, and I think a good ball-controlled offense can alleviate a lot of the pressure off a defense that's constantly being put back on the field in bad spots. I think you can see Tennessee Tech start to creep close toward the 500 mark or slightly above it this season. UT Martin will be depending on a lot of FBS transfers to come in and help keep them afloat. The Skyhawks are coming off a 7-4 record last year, and that record and success was due to the fact that they were solid on offense and good on defense. This season, the Skyhawks look to remain good defensively, maybe even a little bit better, but they are replacing key starters at quarterback, running back, and also at wide receiver. I think they can get stable. If they can get stabilized quickly, they'll be fine. The first 4 games are a doozy: at Cincinnati, at Hawaii, and 2 conference games versus Tennessee Tech and Tennessee State, which only stresses the point of getting off to a great start. The Panthers check in at number 6. Eastern Illinois shocked some people by securing an at-large playoff bid last year. This season, they won't sneak up on anybody. They won't have to, because teams know what they bring to the table. And I think the defensive side of the ball will take a slight step back this year, as they were good at getting off the field and keeping opponents out of the end zone. Losing 7 starters to graduation is tough, but that's why you have a good offense that you can count on to get you out of a jam. Now, the Panthers offensively will still be able to move the football and put up points. The question is if they can do it on a consistent basis, as they are breaking in a new quarterback. Running back Devin Church will have more opportunities to touch the football, especially early on, but unless they find the balance, it'll keep the Panthers hovering around the middle of the pack. Murray State has a lot going for them heading into the season. Great quarterback play and a great running game. Both quarterback KD Humphreys and running back Roman Clay are amongst the best at their position within the Ohio Valley Conference. Now, to avoid shootout Saturday every week, head coach Mitch Stewart has to get his defense better. Again, it's not about being the best defense. You can definitely have that mindset, but you can't be a give up 197 yards per game on the ground type defense. You can't be just a give up 29 passing touchdowns and 299 yards a game passing type defense. Despite breaking in 3 new starters at wide receiver, don't sleep on the guys stepping up in their place, which is why I think they still have the best core of receivers in the conference. The defense will struggle early on, but I think we'll see them get better as the year progresses. Offense will carry them, but if the defense can start fast, the Racers could make it interesting. I have Southeast Missouri State finishing 4th this year. The Redhawks are an exciting bunch that played good football last year. The reason why I'm buying what the Redhawks are selling is due to the fact that their confidence grew late last season and younger players are now more experienced and should hit the ground running. Also, defensively, they forced a lot of turnovers and were plus 10 in that category. Forcing turnovers is about confidence, and with confidence, you find yourself playing fast and playing better. With their defense and running the football with Tremaine McCullough, I think SEMO has a chance to turn those close losses into victories en route to a winning season, which will be their first since 2010. Tennessee State is coming off a 4-6 season, 2 years removed from a 10-4 record, and I think the Tigers are close to that as opposed to what we saw last season. When you look at the injuries they sustained and the close losses, you can see why I'm at least high on head coach Rod Reed's squad heading into 2016. TSU has been known for their running game and good defense. I think part of the first thing is solved because their offensive line is being led by Jessamine Dunker. I think they'll be stout up front. They'll just need one of the backs, Eric Evans, Marcus Deans, or Akeem Granger, to take control of the spot. Defensively, I'm a big fan of defensive end Ebenezer Ogundeko, who finished last season with 5 sacks and 10 TFLs. Now, we've talked about how good their secondary is and will be once again this year. Look for sophomore quarterback O'Shea Ackerman Carter to build on an impressive redshirt freshman season that saw the 6'3", 215-pound passer toss 11 touchdowns to only 5 interceptions. Now, the schedule sets up nice early on for the Tigers to get on the roll. A healthy, experienced bunch could be looking at a 5-0 start before their matchup on October 8th versus Eastern Illinois. Coming in at number 2 is Eastern Kentucky. New head coach Mark Elder inherits a very good offensive attack that will be well balanced with quarterback Benny Coney, running back Ethan Thomas, and wide receiver Devin Borders. Now, defensively, losing Noah Spence will be a big blow as he was virtually their entire pass rush. Spence had 22.5 TFLs and 11.5 sacks, while the next best player on that defense had 3 sacks and 7 TFLs. So with that said, Elder may look to his offense to carry the other side of the ball early on. Special teams is another facet in which the Colonels can rely on, which is why they have the best in the OVC. Kicker Lucas Williams is dependable, while punter Keith Razuziak can be considered a defensive weapon. Razuziak forced 15 fair catches and also has the ability to pin kicks deep in the opponent's territory. Now, despite the losses, I do think Eastern Kentucky will have enough defense to not be a liability. Their offense will be good as well as their kicking game, so if the defense comes around quickly, they'll have a chance to win the conference. At number 1 are the Jacksonville State Gamecocks. Head coach John Grass and his Gamecocks are coming off an outstanding season that saw them reach the FCS title game. Now, JSU did do a lot of the little things very well. They protected the ball. They got off the field on 3rd down, so were able to force turnovers, sustain drives, and excel in the red zone. All of which is a testament to the job Grass has done with this football team. What has to be done this year is to get an influx of new defenders, especially along the defensive line, to gel and play with the same level of consistency that we saw last season. Now, offensively, they should still be amongst the best in the FCS. Quarterback Eli Jenkins is one of the best players in the FCS and most efficient quarterbacks. His running ability will aid incoming transfer Rock Thomas from Auburn as he gets up to speed. Now, Thomas was a huge pickup for the Gamecocks, who needed help in the backfield and have done an outstanding job, as you can see by last year's team with transfers. I still think they're the team to beat in the OVC and should enter the FCS playoffs this year with their mind set on a return to Frisco and leaving with a different outcome.
The FCS, in my mind, is the greatest level of football in the country. It doesn't necessarily always have the resources, the glitz, the glamour of the FBS level, but the FCS is a level that I think plays outstanding football. It's extremely competitive. It plays to a national champion at the end in a tournament format, and I think the experience of aiming for that championship is something that you can't get on any other level.
So that's it for our 2016 Ohio Valley Conference preview. Be sure to check out all of our other FCS season previews on the website footballgameplan.com/FCS Kickoff. Make sure to check out the FCS Opening Drive radio show every Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern Time with host Luke Diamond and myself. You can download the app for free on Google Play and also on iTunes. The call-in number is located on the screen right now and also where you can listen online. And be sure to follow us on all of our social media accounts. Also check out the website at footballgameplan.com/FCS Kickoff.